Beekeepers, it's time to take beekeeping seriously in order to make money. The stock market is falling, the economy's getting rougher, and people continue to follow people like Vino Farm. It's basically a waste of time. He gets a lot of views, but I don't understand why people are following him. He's nowhere near where I am as far as I double my colonies every year. I don't have the losses he had last winter. I lost one colony. I currently have 154. I just don't understand why I get very few views. I'm trying to help you out. If you follow what I do, you will make money beekeeping. If you follow people like Vino Farm, you're going to be wasting your time. We don't have any snow on the ground, but it is about 30 degrees right now. The warm weather is over. And if you followed my videos, I did trim those trees, so I'm getting set up for next year. Hives are going to go over there against the trees where they get full sunshine and no longer place them here in the shade. Well, actually, the small colonies will go up against the garage. The large colonies won't be against the garage. They'll be out there. So let me show you something else. Because I breed my own queens and make my colonies during the summer, they don't get very large. So in order to make sure they don't get chilled and freeze during the winter, I bring them in here. And when you have a lot of colonies in here, they create too much heat. So I turn the heat off. And sometimes because of the moisture here, bees put out moisture. That's why they need to have proper ventilation. You can't wrap a hive. When it gets too much moisture in here, I actually open this door and I pull this down and let in cold air like that. And that would bring in cool, dry air. And you don't want them getting too warm while you have them inside. But I do want them to know the days are passing, spring's getting closer. I don't want to put them in the dark. I did that out there in that shed. Out there, I did that a few years ago, my second winter beekeeping, and it was a complete disaster. The queens did not lay until I brought them out of there. And here's another thing. I built a lot of, most everything that I have, except this year lumber was too expensive. I ended up buying some deeps. But most of the time I build my own stuff. I build my own frames and deeps, covers, bottoms, and I end up with a lot of extra stuff. You know, like I use a 1-inch foam insulation for my covers. Here's a cover. If I get it off. You see the bees? They're clustered. It's cool enough. They're in here. They're clustered. See, here's a cover. It's got 1-inch foam underneath this 1/4-inch underlayment. So I end up with pieces left over from a 4x8 sheet. The insulation goes into this frame that I built, and here's the underlayment. This didn't cost me anything. I already paid for this stuff when I built my covers. And I see all these videos on YouTube about different nukes and this and that. People are using nukes. I never use a nuke. I use my regular deeps. I use these insulated fillers. See? 5 frames. When I'm doing my breeding and I have a mating nuke, that's a 5 frame. When the colony grows and it's time to give them a few more frames, I take this out. It's not rocket science. It's just common sense. That's the problem with you people in this country. You don't have any common sense. Your government is not on your side. They're on the side of the rich. There, a 7 frame. And before they build up to this right here and fill this out, I'm going to be taking this out and I'm going to give them 10 frames. Like that. See how easy that is? And again, this is a homemade deep. It didn't cost me any more than what the lumber costs. So, I mean, really, am I the only person in the world that has the intelligence to do this? This is liquid gold. I've got all kinds of this sitting around here. Look at all those. This is what you want to do. You want to make honey. You want to make money. Why would you want to follow somebody like Vino Farm? It's just ridiculous. You place your hives on some kind of stand. If you want to make money beekeeping, you got to be more like the commercial beekeepers. You got to have a lot of hives. You've got to learn how to manage a lot of hives. You can't place a few hives on some silly stand and do so much of silly stuff. And here's the other thing. Why am I the only person? I didn't learn this for myself. I learned this from Better Bee. This is a shim. The sugar is in there. See the sugar? See the bees? I mean, why would you want to place your sugar on top? You want the cluster down here. You don't want them on top. I mean, really, most of you guys don't have any fucking common sense. That's what the fucking problem is. And then you lose your hives during your colonies during the winter. You don't lose your hives, you lose your colonies. And what do? You buy packages from the bee industry. Those bees that were out in California pollinating almonds that is a monoculture, it's full of chemicals, and then your bees died during the summer and they blame it on you because you don't have any experience when your bees were not good to begin with. If you start breeding your own queens and making your own colonies, you won't have that issue. I'm going to make a prediction here. No losses for winter. Yes, no losses for winter. My bees are doing great. I used acetic acid last fall. Last winter I had an issue with Better Bee. I couldn't get the global patties like I wanted. They wouldn't help me out where I could go get them. And my bees didn't have any pollen patty to feed brood. And they stopped feeding brood with a Man Lakes Ultra Bee. They didn't like it. And so I had an issue with my colonies getting really small during the winter. So hopefully this winter, that's not going to happen because I'm not using Better Bee anymore. They told me they don't share that information to the customers where they get the stuff because they told me they had transportation issues and wouldn't be able to get it till the end of February. I told them that was too late. I used up my surplus the end of January and I wanted to buy more beginning of February. I can't wait the whole month of February for pollen patty. And they have bees. How fucking stupid, all right?